Look at these games. Look at the art in each one of these. Do you notice anything in common? Look closer. There's depth, intrigue, and life in all of these games. Now look at my game. It's flat, it's boring, and it's lifeless. We're gonna fix that. So there are three main things that we need to fix to make Ranger not look so boring, so flat. It's depth, color, and lighting.
This screenshot tells us a lot about creating the illusion of depth, right? We have to remember Ranger is a 2D game. We're using orthographic cameras, so there is no depth. We have to fake it. We can take a look at this telephone pole in the back. We see it's smaller. It's also higher up on the y-axis than this telephone pole closer. So we know that things, the further they are from the camera, the smaller they're gonna get. We also know about horizon lines, right? So wherever our horizon is, from the bottom of the screen, everything is gonna go up towards the horizon line. So we know that this telephone pole is higher. If we had another telephone pole that was even further away, right? Let's say it's like that. It'd be even higher towards the horizon line. So knowing that, we need to make sure that we're scaling, but we're also positioning our layers and our assets to create that sense of depth.
After a lot of trial and error, I was able to go through the steps. We were able to position all of the layers in a way that made it look like it was going further and further back, going up towards that horizon line that we talked about. I was also able to scale the layers. The hard part was making it look like it fit inside the world. So when we scaled everything, it would scale to the center. So the edges of each layer, the further back you went, would be even shorter, right? But if we were to layer jump on the edge of the layer we were on, then the layer would just pop into existence. We need to offset those back layers so that everything would line up to where our player was. I was able to get them all to line up with the differential. The only problem that we have right now that I'm still working on fixing is jitter. So that's unfortunate, but I'm still working on it and I'm sure there is a solution. It'll just take me a little bit more time to figure that out. But I was really happy with the sense of depth that this created. I feel like we succeeded in doing that, and now we can move on to color.
Take a look at this background here. We see it's a lot lighter than our character. The further back something is, the lighter, the less saturated it is. And that's because of, in real life, atmospheric scattering, right? It creates kind of like that haze on the horizon. So we want to emulate that, right? So that's by desaturating and by increasing the lightness. Now, if we look at the bottom here in the foreground, we see the opposite, right? It's darker and it's more saturated. So that kind of creates these three areas, these three layers, very visually pleasing gradient from dark to light.
So I was able to recreate the atmospheric scattering effect by using semi-transparent planes. And the way that it works is that these planes, I put them on the same sorting layers as the tile maps that I'm using. And that way they actually fade the environment, but also the sky. As the player moves back into the distance, the sorting layer for those planes changes and goes either back or forwards, depending on which direction the player is moving. Now for the darkening of the foreground. I was actually able to reuse some of the code in our tile set manager, which is pretty much already calling each of the tile maps. And from there, I was able to just change the color depending on which layer we were on. But this is a huge change in the way that my game has been looking. But there is one last point that we need to talk about. That was lighting. Lighting is both the easiest and the hardest to get done right now. It's the easiest because we pretty much have everything we need. The built-in 2D light system in Unity is pretty much perfect. The problem is that the shadows with the 2D light system isn't quite right. Right now, we can attach a shadow caster to our character, but that shadow caster doesn't let us program or record the silhouette shape that we want. Right now, we just have to wait for Unity to update their 2D light system to allow for these shadow silhouettes to be more dynamic. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been watching, who's been liking the videos, who's been subscribing. You guys are helping me to stay motivated to keep working on this game. And it's been about 4 years now, I think a little over 4 years that I've been working on Ranger, but we've really become focused in the past few months, and we're really trying to finish this game up. We're doing all of the major systems. In the last devlog, we did the camera system. On this devlog, we fixed a bunch of the tile set issues, and we worked on depth, and that actually allowed us to sync all of the tile sets together so that now we can actually build the world. This was keeping us from world building. And so now, pretty soon, we'll be able to start world building, building out real places, environments, villages, towns, places. Like, it's gonna be awesome. Every system is still continually changing. I'm still adding more onto it. I'm always polishing it some more. So if you guys have any ideas on how I can make this a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing. And I'll see you guys in Devlog 11. Well guys, this is a little different than my normal video. Typically an update video is just some gameplay. This is day 1 of 31 days of game dev, and right now we're going to be working on script separation. So now if we go up to a sword and we pick it up and we open up our inventory, then we see the bottom slot there. There's a distorted sword. You can jump up, and now you have different options. You can either jump out to descend. You can of course climb up. So January is over, and with that the first round of 31 days of game dev is over. I also started moving the torso, kind of rotating the torso. So I took the animation that we did yesterday and I added a few poses. These two are independent since they have two different entity data types. I also changed the way that we're handling it. So instead we're considering all of these as entities, not as enemies. And I decided that what we need is a hybrid camera system. And I call it the smooth pixel